Hello everyone, my name is Cassie and I'm a reference librarian here at the West Philly Library, and today I'm here to show you how you can make your own eco-friendly reusable beeswax wraps at home with just a few supplies. So first of all, what is a beeswax wrap? Well, essentially it is a reusable and, like I said, eco-friendly alternative to plastic wrap, used mainly to store food items. You can also use it to cover lids, and even for packing up snacks. So for example, if I have half of a sweet potato, use my beeswax wrap, pop it in the fridge, it'll help it keep it fresh longer, and it's not hurting the environment. So these wraps are actually pretty expensive if you were to purchase them online or in stores, generally anywhere from about like $15 to $20 for a 3 or 4 pack, so they are pretty pricey. You can make them at home with just a few supplies and it costs a lot less, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Okay, so the first thing that you should have is your fabric, and ideally you want to use 100% organic cotton. And you also want to pre-wash it before you use, so that if you have our Crafternoon kit, those are already pre-washed and they are 100% organic. The next thing we have is white beeswax pellets. This was purchased off of Amazon, but if you were able to source it from a local beekeeper, that would be even better. Like I said, these are in pellet form, which means that we can kind of sprinkle them on and they melt really easily, but you can also purchase it in a block and then you would just grate it down and use it the same way. The next thing we have is pine rosin, and this is what gives the wrap kind of a tacky feel, and it helps it stick to itself, stick to bowls, that sort of thing. This I also purchased off of Amazon, and it came in, you might be able to see, like a rock form, whereas we want to use it in powder because it's just easier to sprinkle on and melt a lot easier. So I just used a rolling pin to break that apart, and it powders super easily. All right. The other thing we have is 2 pieces of parchment paper, just a little bit bigger than the fabric that we're using. And you will, of course, need an ironing board and an iron for this. If you have a towel or a dishcloth or something too, that might be a good idea to put down on your ironing board just in case some of the wax slips out. You don't want to ruin your board, which I found out the hard way. Alright, so let's get started. The first thing you want to do is lay down your parchment paper and of course start your iron so it's nice and warm. You can take your piece of fabric and lay it down pattern side down. That way the side that's not quite as attractive is the one that's going to be saturated just a little bit more. It'll be a little bit stickier, which is what you want. The next thing you're going to do is take your beeswax pellets. And I gave you all a little bit of extra, so don't apply all of them to begin with. You might find you need some more after we go through the whole process. So take your pellets and just sprinkle them around the fabric. Really make sure to do it fairly evenly. It's not going to be perfect, but make sure there's no gaping holes or anything in there. And some here, and really get it all the way to the edges as well. Once those are on, you're going to take, again, not the entire amount, but a little bit of your powdered rosin, and I'm going to use about a teaspoon to begin with, and really just shake that around the fabric. You want to make sure you don't have big piles of it anywhere. Just kind of move it around. And again, once we start ironing, everything's going to move around a little bit, so it doesn't have to be perfect to start with. One thing I didn't mention earlier, and you don't have in your bag, but if you want to use a little bit of oil on this, you can use jojoba oil. I believe that's how you say it. I don't actually know. You can use castor oil, olive oil, really any kind of oil like that will work. A little bit of that applied to this will make your wrap just a little bit smoother, a little bit easier to handle. So I actually have a misto here with olive oil. I'm going to use just a tiny bit of that sprayed on the fabric. Tiny, tiny bit. If you are using olive oil, it might also stain it a little bit. You'll have a little bit of a yellow tint to it, but I don't really mind that, and it makes it feel really nice. Okay. Alright, once that is all on, we're going to apply our second piece of parchment paper. And now, the fun part, we get to start ironing. So what I like to do is take my iron and just kind of gently push it down on various parts of the fabric just to start melting those pellets. And that way I'm not just pushing them around as I iron. So I'm going to get them a little bit melty to start with. And you'll be able to see that right through your wax paper or parchment paper. Alright, it's all starting to melt. And then just iron, just like you would a shirt or a skirt at home. Again, you should be able to see how it's melting, and you can see what parts of the fabric have not been hit yet. Just want to make sure we get all of the edges really right up to the corners. And keep ironing until everything is nice and melted. You don't have to push very hard either. These melt pretty easily. And the good part is once it starts melting, you can really push it around. Make sure that you're really saturating all areas of the fabric. So mine's looking pretty good here. I don't know if you can tell. It all looks nice and melted. So the next step is to very, very carefully peel away the top piece of parchment paper. You don't want to wait until it cools down too much because then that wax will just stick to the paper. So I'm going to peel it off and take a look at my product. It's not too hot, so I can carefully pick it up with my fingers. If you have kids, you might not want to let them do this part. You can also use a pair of tongs or a fork or something to lift it up too. You can lift it up and just let it cool down in the air really quickly. And again, it does cool very, very quickly. And you can see whether there's any areas of it that are not quite melted or that you need to add a little bit more. So if you do have any dry areas of the fabric that aren't completely saturated, you're just going to start from the beginning, lay it back down again, add some more pellets, a little bit more rosin, and that's really all there is to it. Now I can use this, again, to cover my food items. We'll stick to it, and we're good to go. So I hope that everybody successfully made their very own eco-friendly reusable beeswax wrap at home. If you had any difficulty or if you have any questions at all, just reach out to us at the library. You can email me at reference@westerlylibrary.org or just give us a call. And keep an eye out for our other Crafternoon to-go kits, which are happening every 2 weeks throughout the summer. Thank you.